This is the base of the storm as it's coming into Malvern. And so here's a pretty good view that they had overlooking the Walmart there. And so you're looking down into the base of the storm, and you were looking at the base of the clouds on the Social Hill camera. So a well-defined tropical supercell for sure, Barry, but I cannot pick out in these pictures, and they cannot visually see any lowering or anything that looks tornadic still. It's a big it's a big storm that they're looking at here. Here's another picture of it, kind of a wide angle there. That is from Storm Chaser Cole Outlaw, and that's in Malvern. That was about 10 minutes ago as it went off towards the north. Some high cloud bases there, Barry. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
Nothing too terribly close to the ground, which is what you see in tropical situations. So there at the Rockport camera, not seeing anything either.
Is there a camera over along Highway 270 as it moves up? I believe it is right there.
So that's Highway 51 at Stony Creek, and I believe...
So that's the intersection of 51 and 270.
I believe that's pointing, let's see what direction that's pointing, east.
Okay.
So that may, to the right there, capture the storm.
Yeah, that would be the storm, but it could be, we're kind of looking off to the southeast there.
Mm-hmm.
So, ideally that would be up just a little bit more, but that is where this is going to cross, right there at that point. And that's 51 coming into 270. All right. But we continue to watch this, and National Weather Service is continuing to monitor this as well. These storms ebb and flow. They get stronger, they get tighter in rotation, and then they begin to loosen somewhat. I think it looks broader than it did, but obviously there is a supercell thunderstorm, a tropical one, with the part of the bottom of the storm lowering down toward the ground, and from that is where you would have the tornado, if there is a tornado, and that's certainly not a sure thing on a night like this, but it is possible as this moves up toward 270. Looking at the National Weather Service, they're looking at those storms down in southwest Arkansas, and they're saying it's at the point where the Shreveport radar and the Little Rock radar come together, which is on down to the south, not doing a great job at analyzing where the rotation is in those storms. This one is a lot closer to the Little Rock radar, and that's why we get a much better view of this. And if any of those storms, they're looking at those, if any of those storms look worse than one or the other, they will be issuing for that too. This all moving off to the north, and let's go back and I'll show you just the reflectivity product, which is just the rainfall inside it. Now that's kind of the overview right there. Still out to the southwest of the Little Rock area, and this is the storm with its little with the hook, and that's where the lowering of the cloud base would be, moving across Highway 171, and there was so it's going to be just a little bit west of there.
That camera is starting to capture a little bit of the base there.
Okay. As
we look towards the southeast. You can actually see the cloud base pretty well right there.
If we can go back to the RDOT camera. Yeah, that's the same thing that we saw out to the east of Malvern, lowered cloud base.
Yeah, and there's no way for us to tell. If you're looking at the screen, you see the little appendage dropping down there. At least with our current vantage point, there's no way for us to tell if that is a funnel cloud or anything like that. But at least with that camera, in which if anyone's at RDOT manning the cameras, if you can, point it towards the southeast. I believe that's the direction that we need to go. The logo there actually obscuring the part of the storm that I think we need to see.
Okay.
But that is one vantage point, as you see the storm approaching 270 there, under a tornado warning. And Barry, based on the pictures that I have seen from Malvern, we were not imminently close to a tornado being down, at least as it was going through that area.
And the storm doesn't look much different than it did then.
Yeah, at least from the view we have now and the view we have on radar, it pretty much looks the same. There's weak rotation. The whole bottom of the storm appears to be kind of rotating as you would expect it to do along tropical systems. So we'll stay with it, and until we get the all clear that this has completely fallen apart or the Weather Service feels like it's going to fall apart, we'll stay with it. This tornado warning is in effect for 20 more minutes. So let's talk about where this is headed. Looks like it's gonna stay towards the east of Hot Springs. I'll put it in motion.
Yeah, and James, the sirens are going on and off in Hot Springs. At least they were. So
this is actually headed more towards the east side of Hot Springs instead of towards the east. It's taking a more northwesterly track. Our Hot Springs camera not available at the moment, but we could certainly look at iDrive cameras as this gets into Hot Springs Village. Hot Springs. Hot Springs Village is way to the north. But Barry, it's not really strong rotation. It's just there's some rotation.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's what the National Weather Service is looking at. Like any rotation could, at a moment's notice, produce a tornado, and it's coming right up the bypass around Hot Springs. This is out east of there. Looks like to me it's 3 to 4 miles out east of there, as it will be lifting off to the north and eventually going up over Highway 70. But there you can see what is that area of concern for us. And if we look at it on the reflectivity, it's this little notch right here, same spot. It lines up right there where you see the wind fields coming together, but it will be crossing 270 out east of town. And so that will be an area where certainly there are homes, and on the Highway 70 there, not the population center that just to the west of there is, but certainly if you're in this area, do take cover right now. Go to the most interior spot in your house. Get down as low in the house as you can, and the most interior closet or bathroom or some small room that is away from exterior walls and windows as it moves off to the north. Still looking at that storm on our RDOT camera. I think this is looking right back at it. You can see a lower cloud base if we could take it real quick. The RDOT camera is showing a dark lowering cloud base, but it's obscured by trees somewhat there. This is moving, looking back from where Highway 51 comes in, and then we're looking east, kind of east-southeast, as 270 would head on off to Malvern there in the distance. And that's not very far from where that storm will be coming across.
That's a good view of the base of that storm there.
I think it could be just off to the right of there, might be the better view. But yeah, that's the lowering, and it matches up perfectly on where we're seeing it on the radar.
There is this line of storms down towards the south. Well, I'm just going to revisit it for a moment because this is going to be a problem, not just in the name of tornado potential, but a problem in the sense of flash flooding and very heavy rainfall. I want to look at the west edge of this line first. And as this line, really, it's just a fire hose of moisture kind of being pulled back on the north side of the center. That is where your heaviest rainfall totals come from. And this zone right here is where most of the 2 to 3 to 4 inch rainfall forecast comes from. This is some very heavy rain. And as you get back towards the Hope area and Clark County, I mean, you're going to spend a good little bit of time in that area of rain. So some localized flooding is possible. As you work your way towards the east, that's where tornadoes become a little bit of more of a possibility with this band that continues to work its way towards the north. And we do have a couple of tornado warnings down on the side of the line. One of them is in Union County. One of them is in Nevada County. And the one that's in Nevada County, it's just in an area where it's so hard to tell, what's there, given the way the radar looks right now. If you're in a tornado warning, make sure that you're seeking shelter for the amount of time that you're under the warning. And then as we look towards Union County, the main line has actually now gotten through the El Dorado area. So El Dorado is about to breathe a sigh of relief for the rest of the night. But this tornado warning is in effect right along Highway US 82 and going towards the north. And if this circulation holds together, it's going to take it up into, that's going to be Calhoun County, maybe the far western section of Bradley County there. But also very hard to tell if there's any significant rotation within that, just given how far it is from Little Rock radar. But there's 2 tornado warnings there down in South Arkansas. One little shower starting to develop in northern Grant County, and we'll have to keep a close eye on that. It's kind of out in advance of everything else, not doing anything right now. But the big storm that we've tracked for a long time, structurally, looks a little bit worse, like it's continuing to weaken, but it still is headed right for Hot Springs. still with a little bit of rotation. And let's go to Storyteller. We're looking at the base of the storm.
Yeah, and the folks at the Arkansas Department of Transportation are moving it. If y'all are listening to me, if you could move it off to the right just a little bit, I think there is, I think we're looking at the lowering of that cloud base there, but I think the rotation center is going to go just a bit to the west of where that actual picture is being shot there. Still didn't see anything. They were panning around, and I didn't see anything, James, except a lowering of that cloud base, but I think it's just a little bit off to the west of there. But it is crossing 270 right now, and it will continue to lift off to the north. Looks like a broad area, which probably means it's the whole bottom of the storm rotating around, but a broad area of rotation there over a large area rather than those tight couplets that we see sometimes when we're pretty sure that there's a tornado. I think this is a much broader picture right here, but that is the joining spot here out to the east of the bypass there around Hot Springs, and it will be moving from 270, crossing it now, on up and crossing 70 out to the east of where the bypass joins in with Highway 70.
So we just had a spotter report come in from Lake Catherine, which sits right there. There it is on our map of a rotating wall cloud. So it's possible that they are seeing the wall cloud rotate quite a bit. And this is just near the Diamond Head community and golf courses. So it's right over you. That storm continues to move off towards the northwest. We're going to be getting into Hot Springs here very quickly. And the best thing you can do is just to take your tornado safety precautions, and hopefully this thing doesn't drop. It just stays above you. And Barry, as we look at reflectivity, the storm kind of shrinking a little bit. It's kind of losing its punch. So hopefully eventually we'll just see this storm kind of get embedded in a big area of rain and it will be no more.
Yeah, I think so. It's certainly not as impressive as it was. And I know the National Weather Service is, they're saying that it's not an active tornado in all likelihood. But looks capable of producing one at any time. And again, they can go back and forth. But for right now, as it moves through the Lake Catherine area, that's the area of concern. That is our tornado warning that we can see much more clearly than we can see the others in South Arkansas, because this is only about 40 to 45 miles away from the radar site here in Little Rock. So here's what it looks like on reflectivity. Getting a lot of heavy rainfall in Hot Springs. You're on just the rain side. It's starting to pour over there. And then out to the east, there's Lake Catherine. That's where the little notch is, the rotation area as it moves off to the north. The folks at the RDOT are moving the camera around toward it. Maybe they could stop right there.
Right there. And
that's the bottom. That's the rotating wall cloud.
Base of the storm there. Really, as far as big tornadic storms go, it doesn't look really organized right now.
No, and boy, we hope that is the case. We're really wanting these to die down, to get away from their source of circulation, which right now, if you look at it, is coming into southwest Arkansas, I would think, fairly soon. The center, I'm just going to put this into motion for you on computer number 2, and you'll see the big rotating area, the spiral bands that go around. That's a notable one that James was talking about over the last 3 hours. But I think the center of circulation will be moving up into Arkansas within, an hour and a half, perhaps. It might even be fairly close to the west side of Texarkana there. All the rain is generally off to the right of the center of it. It's they're not symmetrical when they weaken like this. It's generally out to the right that you see the storms. You see the rain, the heavy rainfall, and then right along the track of it. But that's what's happening now. And then we have the one tornado warning storm here, and the other one, and the only other one, is in Nevada County.
And tornado warning for Union County was canceled.
Yeah, it was canceled a little bit earlier. And hopefully what's happening in these spiral bands here, there's just so much rain with them that they kind of destroy the structure of those individualized cells within that. And you get not as much of a chance for it to rotate. But I think within this, we're going to have to watch for little notches of rotation. Some just trying to develop in these little eddies right there. But that is one to the north of Prescott right now. And have they canceled that one as well? I believe they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's no tornado warning there anymore. The only one left right now is for you folks out on the east side of Hot Springs. So the rotation center is now north of Lake Catherine, and it's going to go pretty close. It's going to go pretty close out there to the east side of town as it continues to rotate on through. So it'll be moving up toward Fountain Lake, right? And kind of rotating around in a northwesterly fashion. But for now, what we've seen, the lowering of the cloud base, we've said it's a big, slow rotation. But from that is where you would have a tornado if it was going to happen. And we've not heard of that and coming into a fairly populated area here. And we hope that is the absolute case, and this further loses its ability to produce a tornado. But I think we're going to have to probably stick around with it. Hey, want to just apologize to The Bachelorette. The season premiere tonight started, and you may have been watching it. You can stream it 24 hours after it airs, so after 9 o'clock tonight. You can stream it on Hulu in its entirety if you have access to that. But we apologize for this. It's just one of those nights. It's so busy, and we want to keep everybody safe out there. We hate to do it, but we hate to not keep you informed. So I hope you can bear with us tonight. If it was in your area, and it may be later on tonight, you would want us here warning you all about it. And so, again, our apologies. We do have the tornado watch that's in effect until midnight. Oh, new tornado warning now for Clark County.
That
James.
is for Clark County in its entirety, and it includes Lake DeGray. It includes Arkadelphia, Okolona, Gurdon. Your phones are going off. This tornado warning is in effect until 9:15 p.m. It includes a large swath of I-30, and it's, again, as one of these storms moving off towards the northwest along this big line. I'm telling you, we're just going to be tracking them across the state as they move. It's very hard to pick out on radar, but the feeling from the Weather Service is that as this line moves off towards the northwest, this entire thing has the potential to produce a brief tornado or two. So that's why you see the large tornado warning in effect from Arkadelphia all the way to Oklahoma and Gurdon. This is not like the supercell we're tracking up in Garland County. This is more of just a big line with areas of rotation embedded along it. So it's kind of harder to determine where the tornadoes are embedded in them. So my best advice to you is, under a tornado warning, go to your tornado safe place. This is going to be embedded in very, very heavy rain. There's likely going to be some wind with this as well. You'll be just fine if you go to your tornado safe place. So that is the newest tornado warning. Again, we'll be looking for the area of rotation. The best that I can see there is that it's entering the southern part of Clark County, and even from the Shreveport radar, and I'll circle it so it's kind of easier to determine. It's kind of right there is what I'm talking about. But one area of rotation there, Barry, I think they're thinking that this line at some point is going to produce tornadoes with the favorable wind fields as it moves northeast. So they've got a tornado warning on that storm. And it wouldn't surprise me at all as we go through the night to see a few warnings on the other side of this line as well. But for now, Clark County, Gurdon, Arkadelphia, Okolona, anybody in that corridor, go ahead and seek shelter as this storm kind of moves up towards the northwest. I think at any time could produce a brief tornado.
Weather Service is also looking at a storm in, it says in northern Grant County. They're just watching it closely.
Yeah, that's the one that just popped up.
Yeah, and so we're just going to, all of these are going to have the potential, folks, I'm afraid. And this is what they're looking at. It's north of Prattsville, just that little bit of indication there of rotation. And the thing is, all of these showers that are of any note at all, any of them that can rise up in the atmosphere at all, are going to have some spin imparted to them. Doesn't mean they're going to produce a tornado, but it's going to be one of those that we have to watch and watch and watch, I'm afraid, as we head through the evening hours. In addition to the one that has the broader rotation that is now out to the east of Hot Springs. And we'll go back to this one, and there's that little notch with it. The one in northern Grant County, it doesn't look like a whole lot right now, does it? but it's growing. And so places up in Saline County, we're just going to say, just keep an eye on this as we keep an eye on it for you. But there's, have they expanded the tornado warning?
Which one?
The Garland County one. No, they haven't expanded.
Yeah, that's
Sorry,
still
it just
including
looked larger
Fountain Lake.
to me. It extends well out to the east.
There's a lot of colors on the screen right now.
Yeah, there are so many, right. A lot of colors there, folks, but it's this circulation here. So Lonsdale, you're way east of it, and Magnet Cove, you're in the tornado warning, but it's well east of you there. Then we go back down to this, boy, that is just a gnarly looking spiral band around this system. And the center of circulation is getting closer and closer to it. So there's a lot of energy being thrown over the top of that. The wind's up aloft, going faster than the winds down at the surface. There's a lot of wind shear in the atmosphere, and that's why they issued the one for Clark County. Those little notches right there. And I think we're going to have to watch all of those areas there.
I think you're right. They did just issue a new tornado warning.
Did they? It looked bigger.
Yeah, they just issued for the rest of Garland County there and for the Hot Springs Village area.
Yeah, they extended it on up to Hot Springs Village. Okay, that's what we're looking at. So that was the old one. This is the new one that extends all the way up, and there's Hot Springs Village right there. So you will be in this storm, both in Saline County and Garland County side of the village there, and this center of rotation continues to move up that way. And I think the Weather Service is just playing it safe rather than sorry on this large rotating area. It's a broad area moving towards Fountain Lake right now. So if you're anywhere along there, the bypass, and then extended on up now, this circulation is right over that area, and it will continue to move right up on through, and that will take it right up toward the village. And as it gets closer, we'll pinpoint a little bit more, but it's hard to pinpoint because the area is rather broad. But where those two wind fields meet, that would be where we might see the possibility anyway that a tornado could sprout from the bottom of that storm.
All right, let's time out this storm as it goes through Garland County. It's just on the east side of Hot Springs, still rotating, still at any point could produce a probably brief tornado. Fountain Lake, you've got just a few minutes. It'll be on you here shortly, probably within the next 10 minutes. On the west side of Hot Springs Village, those of you near the West Gate, 910 is what our system is pegging here as it moves north at about 25 miles per hour. And then beyond that, about 9:15 as it's going to get close to the Saline and Garland County line as this continues to work off towards the northwest. So this storm, remember, began in Union County. Ever since, it's been a problem. It's rotated at times and produced at least one tornado, and it could do so again. So we're looking at the inflow notch there. Just passing Highway 5, Hot Springs, you're dealing with the torrential tropical downpour right now. All of this off towards the west is not the tornado. This is all just very, very heavy rain. There's going to be a tornado. It's going to be over here towards Fountain Lake. And Fountain Lake, I think this is a little bit closer to you than 10 minutes. I think we're going to be getting maybe within the next 6 or 7 minutes. The area of rotation is actually right there and just towards the north of 70, and that's going to be approaching Highway, or really following Highway 5 off towards the north. It's a very large area of rotation, so it's just broad. It doesn't mean it can't produce a tornado. It can, but it's a little harder to track as it moves off towards the north. So Fountain Lake, Hot Springs Village, along Highway 5, and then along Highway 7 off towards the northwest of Fountain Lake. Make sure, again, just take your tornado safety precautions. That's the best thing you can do. Interior room. And this storm, hopefully, as it continues to advance towards the north, will begin its process of falling apart here soon. Looking back towards the east, the storm that's developed in northern Grant County, that little shower continues to grow, and down into Clark County, where we have a tornado warning that includes everyone west of Arkadelphia. It's very hard to read into the data there, but as far as what's actually happening, it is raining hard, very, very hard. And what we're probably seeing is within this area of rain, we could have an embedded tornado that's moving off towards the northwest, and this storm getting very close to I-30. I'm going to pull up a traffic cam from I-30 because I know it is just raining torrentially there. probably going to be very hard to see anything, but at least you'll get an idea of the conditions that we're seeing. Thomas or Steve, we can go ahead and go to the iDrive Arkansas website, and we'll go down into the tornado-warned area, and we're going to look right here. Gurdon exit 63. They're raining heavily. Not seeing a tornado or anything like that, but getting some tropical rain there. And then further down towards the southwest, this is at Oklahoma, the Oklahoma exit 54. So a lot of rain coming down. That's looking towards I-30 east. And that is just a night where you just shouldn't, certainly don't want to be out on the roads. That's a good view right there from the iDrive Arkansas traffic network. Areas of rotation that we're watching in the Garland County area continues to be very broad. It's one of those things where you got to be better safe than sorry. We're watching this right here along Highway 70 and Highway 5. There's the intersection where we could possibly have a brief tornado coming up on Fountain Lake here very soon. And it is moving north, maybe a little bit due west of north. Hot Springs Village, you are going to be next in line for this. You do have that tornado warning in effect. Go ahead and head to your tornado safe spot. And stay tuned as we track this storm off towards the north. This does include far western Saline County, includes all of Hot Springs Village, but this is pretty far removed from Perrin, Lonsdale, Benton Bryant, all those communities. There's no immediate tornado threat to those areas. Barry, we're kind of getting to the point in the evening here where as all this begins to advance closer to central Arkansas, we will be able to kind of get a better read on if there's actually tornadoes within this line as we just get closer and closer to the Little Rock radar. That is some very heavy rain that we're going to see, and I'd imagine you're probably looking at least an inch or two of rain from that line as it moves through, regardless of the tornado threat. Maybe a little bit of wind embedded in that as well. Few communities along this line that are seeing some of the worst wind and rain right now. Bearden, Sparkman, down to Hampton, down to Hermitage. Again, we're not looking at any tornado warnings in those locations right now, but we are going to be watching this line as it advances towards the northeast, because I do notice that there are a couple of areas of rotation. There's one near Shoemaker, just to the west of Bearden, and of course there's the area of rotation that is in Clark County as well. If you're anywhere near DeGray Lake, off towards Oklahoma, Gurdon, tornado safe spot is the best course of action with that. And then circling back into the metro area, Pulaski County largely has escaped a lot of the rain since earlier today. The rain is moving in, and it is only going to get heavier as we go through the evening hours. Coming up here on 9 o'clock, it's about to continue raining for the rest of the night. Barry, is there anything else from the National Weather Service concerning the Garland County storm as it just continues to advance north?
No, I am not. Haven't seen anything. And I think the theme of tonight, James, is going to be one of, there may be some brief tornadoes within these lines, and I think it's going to be terribly difficult to see. There is a lot that's happening. Those are still a long way away from the radar, but even closer to the radar there, it's going to be just difficult. And that, by its very nature, tropical storms just are a little more difficult, with a little more rain wrapped into them, a little more difficult to pick out that rotation. But it's not impossible, especially as it gets a little bit closer. The one up in Garland County right now is one that we're watching, still broad in its rotation. And so let's zoom on into this. We'll go to the rotating part of it. And it looks really, it looks really broad around Fountain Lake. In the waning daylight here, and you're just about to run out of daylight at 8:49 now, but the cloud base is lowering, and if there was something, it would be in that area. But boy, it certainly doesn't look like it did a little bit earlier. Doesn't have to look all that bad, though, with the tropical system. But I like what I see as far as that's concerned, but you're still in a tornado warning. So, Hot Springs Village, as this approaches your area from Fountain Lake all the way up Highway 7, it looks like it could be around the corner there where Garland and Saline County meet, and to the west of that, that could be where it moves rather than maybe the east side of the village. You just need to be in that safe spot. Just go down, lower floor, basement, a lot of sub-levels there in the village. But in any event, the lowest level interior part of your house with a bathroom or a closet. We're going to continue to watch these storms, and it has that notch on it that is, I mean, that storm looked exactly like that an hour ago, and it still looks like that. It looks like there's a little rotation trying to move in there, and it's very broad, and we haven't had any power outages. I continue to look for power outages along the way, and I still am not, I still don't see any. I see 0 in Grant County, 1 power outage in Hot Spring County, 1 in Garland County, 651 in Montgomery County. And there hasn't even been a storm there of note, I don't think. There's been some heavy rain over in that area. So there are sporadic power outages, probably just an indication of some wind with these storms, and who knows what else. Perhaps at times a tornado has touched down out of these. But I think it's a fairly weak rotation, but we continue to watch for that. Here's the velocity product as we head up into the village. James, this looks as weak as I've seen it now.
Yeah, it does. It's beginning to fall apart, and
There's just hardly anything to that.
As we kind of work back towards the east with the incoming line, there's a little bit of rotation beginning to show up now near Tull, and that's part of a storm that developed not too long ago, so we're going to keep an eye on that one as it moves off. This is moving towards the west, and notice there's quite a bit of rain now developing as it approaches the Little Rock area, and so as these develop kind of in this swath off towards the southeast, at times these may be able to rotate, and so that's southern Saline County, and just across the county line is Tull, and this cell to the east here in Grant County is just rain, but as these grow, they can rotate. So 2 active tornado warnings in the state, the one in Garland County and Beryl. That storm, it does look the same, but it is a lot smaller than it was an hour ago, and hopefully it continues to weaken. And we'll watch what the Weather Service is going to do with the warning down in Clark County. Again, I think it's very hard to pinpoint exactly where the rotation is down in Clark County, just because you have this big area of rain, but a couple of tornadoes definitely possible down in that area. We also have some rotation that we were watching west of Bearden. It's still there, not under a tornado warning. But as we've been saying, this line that's moving towards the northeast, I mean, it's just the remnant of a hurricane that made landfall this morning. So this line will pack a punch, and of course, not with hurricane force winds, but it could be pretty breezy as these move through. Very heavy rainfall, and then the possibility of isolated tornadoes. Our tornado warning that's in Garland County, I believe, expires at 9:15. The one off into Clark County expires shortly before that. And we'll be watching the radar to see if there are any other areas of rotation that kind of get going here, Barry. It seems like as one area kind of declines, there's another area that gets going. I want to look just at the last 30 minutes of this storm as it moved out of Hot Spring County and into Garland County. Again, just a weak area of rotation that's moved towards the east of Hot Springs. We've looked at RDOT cameras. We've looked at power outage numbers. We still don't think that there has been a tornado other than what hit Sparkman. And while we're at it, I'll bring up the picture of the tornado that hit Sparkman some time ago. This is the picture that was sent to us by Lynn Self-Man. This was the Sparkman area with a report of homes damaged in the area and trees down. And that was with the storm that's now in Garland County. This is the tornado that went through there earlier in Dallas County. And the same storm, which has not been producing a tornado since, I don't think, has worked its way all the way up to the east side of Hot Springs. Remember, a tornado watch is in effect until midnight tonight, and while we're looks like the tornado warning has just now been canceled for Clark County. So the last tornado warning we have in the state right now for the moment is the one in Garland County. And while we're watching that storm move to the west of Fountain Lake, I do want to go over another big threat tonight, and that's going to be flash flooding as this line moves towards the north. We have a moderate risk for flash flooding with this line along I-30 and US 67 and just towards the west. Let's look at Futurecast. That area of rain will advance towards the north overnight, giving a lot of us pretty heavy rainfall for the next 5 or 6 hours. The rain does begin to lighten up a little bit as we get into tomorrow morning. And as the center of circulation passes overhead, a lot of that rainfall is out in front of it. Once you're on the west or south side, there's not a whole lot of rain to go. So tomorrow afternoon actually does look dry. We may even see the sun come out later tomorrow. The rainfall amounts, and don't look at this map and think Little Rock's getting 5 inches of rain. The general takeaway is that there's going to be a lot of spots that get 1, 2, or 3 inches, but there probably is going to be a corridor somewhere along the center of circulation that does get 4 or 5 inches, and flash flooding is certainly possible along that path. So can't underestimate it tonight. We do have a heavy rainfall threat, but otherwise we continue to watch for areas of rotation along the line, Barry, and our storm, which continues to advance north and northwest. Still a little bit of rotation there, right along Highway 7. This is now west of Fountain Lake. Looks like this is going to be west of Hot Springs Village. It's now on the west side of Highway 7. And again, it's moving off towards the north-northwest, passing between Mountain Pine and Fountain Lake. So we'll see if it goes on to produce a tornado, Barry. I think now it's kind of getting into a position on the storm where it's almost due north of the circulation. You would think it's kind of work its way into an unfavorable wind field here before too long.
Yeah. And that's what James is talking about. When you're looking for areas to the east and to the north of the center of rotation, and when those storms start to move into that quadrant that goes into the northwest quadrant, that upper left quadrant of a circulation, it's harder for them to produce tornadoes. And we have this, the one you're talking about. We have the one that is over here moving up toward Haskell and Trasquet. It looks similar to that one, a broad area of rotation, but I'm going to be watching that one as it moves up toward I-30 corridor out to the west of Benton. That would be where Highway 70 joins up, and it's going to be very close to there. A lot of construction along that area and some torrential rainfall. We'll put this, we'll just go back in, and that's the storm that we're looking at right there. Every one of the storms, you start to get heavy rainfall with a storm, it's going to have rotation with it. Most always, it has been broad and not producing tornadoes, we think. But we're going to watch every one of those, including the one out to the west of Benton and to the one that's moving right up really Highway 7 as it moves toward the west end, the west gate of Hot Springs Village there. That rotation center will move right up along there, eventually working its way up toward Jesseville. But haven't had any power outages of note, and it is the only tornado-warned storm within the state. We'll go back to just the radar presentation there, and this is... Boy, it's going to be a big rain producer here, at least briefly. These are just pounding rainstorms down here, and so many notches along them, and it's just it's a messy presentation, so it would be hard to pick out the circulation within there, but that's what we're looking for, and that's what the National Weather Service is looking for as well. But as we get into this, as James mentioned, you get over here a little bit west, and really the tornado potential goes away. You go out to the east and to the southeast of the circulation center, which is coming up on Texarkana, you lose that ability for tornadoes, really. But up in this upper right quadrant of the storm center, if you just drew a cross in the middle of it, it would be that upper right corner that would have the tornado potential. And here we are in it tonight. Now, it won't last forever. It will last into the perhaps midnight 1, 2 o'clock in the morning hour. But I think after that, it's going to be a lot of the state's just going to be in a rain area, and it quickly will move out tomorrow. I think by the afternoon we could even see a little sunshine moving back into the forecast. But nothing has really changed on either of these storms as far as their rotation, except perhaps that the one near Hot Springs Village looks even weaker than it was. Certainly it's a thunderstorm, and the one near Haskell looks weak, but there is some broad rotation along it as it moves up and joins I-30 there just east of the Highway 70 and I-30 interchange. Those are the areas that we're looking at tonight. James, we still have this tornado watch in effect. That will be until midnight tonight, but you see one lone tornado warning, and that's with the storm that's out by Hot Springs Village, kind of out to the west there. And that storm